Hey everybody, and welcome to a special episode of the Irish Wrestling Podcast. This is the last show of the year, so happy Christmas. It's already been and gone when this episode goes out. Also, we wish everybody a happy new year, and we look forward to 2024. We're here to talk about AEW in 2023, specifically everybody who became all elite in 2023. Before we get into all those signings, Mark, you are probably the biggest AEW fan I know. How did you think AEW went in 2023 from January till now?
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Mark, and there's a reason for that because I'm an AEW Mark. Yeah, absolutely. No, listen. As WrestleNomics recently came out with the demographic piece for AEW fans and WWE fans, and those of the genre, it articulated that AEW is the promotion for those with a brain, WWE's for those who like shiny and loud things and all sorts of sparkly stuff, and simpletons who vote for Donald Trump, that type of thing. But no, it was I don't think it was half as bad a year as people make out to be. There's a huge amount of cynicism and negativity on Twitter that it gets amplified by paid accounts, and it becomes trendy for those online to make a somewhat average decision or piece of business look 10 times worse than it is. I think you don't get the same level of criticism for other promotions because people have an apathy towards those other promotions, particularly WWE. I think people have a far higher level of expectation for AEW to be perfect because for a couple of years it was nearly perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's been obviously a huge amount of attrition and turnover internally in terms of staff, in terms of those with influence within AEW. There's obviously been a huge amount of internal political infighting between members of their executive vice president committee, between those who are long tenured members of the roster and a couple of those who would have had opposing cultural views in terms of wrestling, and some of them who just enjoy punching the head off each other. So I think it's been a growing year in terms of a lot of growing pains in terms of AEW having to put frameworks in place, put disciplinary procedures in place, put structures in place internally, and this is all part of the growing curve of a
Yeah.
company that's less than 5 years old. I think people need to kind of still have that cultural, or that lens rather, of that context for what the company actually is. In terms of the on-screen product, it still delivers 10 times better than anything else in the world. Like in terms of their pay-per-view cycle, some of the match stuff they put regularly on television, the addition of new pay-per-views such as All In, Wrestle Dream, at World's End. Like there has been some nonsense as most wrestling promotions do, but listen, it might not necessarily be at the peak level as it was in 2021, but like it's still better than anything else on TV in my opinion, and it's the show that has thought. It's the show that has reason and logic behind it. It's the show that has some sort of semblance of a sporting structure. And yeah, I love it. So yeah, not a bad year all in all.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan of both now, so you can bash me for being a WWE fan, but I'm also a fan of AEW, and I really dislike people who put up pictures of the hard cam section that are empty for all wrestling shows pretty much all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
not just AEW, and it's petty, like, because like you said, AEW were almost perfect for the last, their first few years, which was, crazy, the fact that they were just a startup, like the fact that
Mm.
they were able to smash it during the pandemic as well, like
Yeah.
they stayed afloat during that time, like, so, fair play to them for being like that. So people are, who aren't AEW fans are just going to pick on anything negative they can find, and any mistake they might make, it's magnified by fucking thousands, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon looking for a reason they put them down. So it's petty. Like, if you like WWE, fair enough, you like WWE. Doesn't mean you have to bash the other team. Like,
No.
it's tribalism. It doesn't
Well,
make any
I don't know if you
sense.
saw NXT last night, Jerry. They had
I
a
saw
half
it.
empty arena,
I
so
saw
it's
the hard cam
yeah.
section as well. And I saw the reports that were out today as we record about the elimination chamber in Sydney only selling 8,000 tickets,
But
and
I
all the
got
other
yeah,
reports selling
yeah.
49,000. So you'll know when it goes live how many people it's sold. So leave it until the show actually starts. It's still 2 months away. So don't bash them for the hell of bashing them.
I was actually fortunate enough a few months ago at All In to talk with a tag team based in AEW. Actually, kind of around this, like you watch wrestling. Everybody watches wrestling as an escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling's a strange thing. You know it's fake, not fake. It's predetermined. Obviously, it's a hugely physical.
It hurts like a motherfucker.
Exactly. Yeah, I can attest to myself. But you know it's predetermined. You know it's predetermined. You know you're playing a character. They know they're playing a character, and we're all willing to suspend our disbelief as long as it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell do fans get so entrenched into terms like, oh no, but Section 108 only had 10 fans in it. Oh no, AEW has a marginal decrease in its viewership, also 100% in line with the amount of decrease in viewership across all television programming because people watch streaming services instead of
Yeah,
traditional cable TV in America. Why do people in Ireland and the UK give the slightest shit about television metrics in America?
we don't.
What?
I don't.
How does that improve or help your
It
enjoyment of a
doesn't.
product and all? No.
But
Like,
in any genre, like if you had like we'll say over here, fucking soap operas, if people watch Carney Street or EastEnders, had these beefs on Twitter over a fucking TV show, which wrestling
yeah,
is. Regardless, it's still a TV show. It's produced
yeah,
like a TV show. It's TV. It's television. So
yeah,
no other television competing television shows, if you want to call them, even though they're on different times, they don't have this kind of feud. Like you don't see when they have the soap awards, you don't see fucking wars between soap actors whenever they win the
yeah,
awards and they're all out drinking together. Like that's what the wrestlers are doing when they're not on screen. Like they're all friends in the background, most of them who aren't fucking
yeah.
fighting with each other. Like, but overall, like they all respect each other. If they meet each other out, chances are they're going to go for eat, food or fucking drinks or something
Mm.
afterwards. So the fact that the fans of these same people can't get along is just pathetic.
We've meandered into a strange philosophical territory here now,
Yeah,
Gerry.
so
But
we're
let's
not
try.
here to we're not here to bash the fans. We're here to talk the good things of 2023. And some of the good things of 2023 for AEW was the amount of signings they had, the amount
Mm.
of world class talent that became all elite in 2023. And we're
Mm-hmm.
going to go through them in descending order from February right up until now. So we're going to start off with the first signing of 2023 on our list is Mark Briscoe. We know what happened with unfortunately with Jay Briscoe earlier on, and Mark got signed to AEW in February after everything went down, which was something that we never thought we were going to see. There was a lot of reports about stuff that happened previously that AEW were never going to sign the Briscoe brothers, that Warner Brothers didn't want them, but we finally got Mark on TV. How do you think, Mark? How do you think his 2023 has gone?
Yeah, as we're judging just purely based on what he's done this 2023, I think
Yeah.
he's magic in terms of he's one of the few wrestlers who's able to portray extreme emotion at all times. He's able to bring you into what he's doing nonstop. I love him. I think if you go to see him, I've seen him. I've been lucky enough to see him a few times live, both at indie shows and at Ring of Honor. When I saw him and his brother against the against FTR Supercard of Honor last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely hilarious for the live crowd. He's unbelievably energetic. He's unbelievably engaging. His disregard for his own physical health when he's throwing himself around the place half the time. If you watch the dog collar match as it did last night between them and the FTR again.
Happy anniversary. Is that?
Happy anniversary. Yeah, it's obviously very fortuitous we're doing it this weekend as well. But yeah, I think he's been absolutely incredible. I think he was signed to AEW carrying a few knocks, few injuries. So again, the way AEW is structured in terms of a huge depth in their roster, there's a madness to that logic in terms of having people being able to cycle in and out for carrying for injuries for different various reasons. So when people come into like the content of classic as Mark Briscoe is doing
Mm-hmm.
right now, he has an impact. He's worthwhile. He has value. It's not going to be oversaturated, used on a weekly basis for 52 weeks. Everything he does has a reason and a purpose. Now, some wrestlers might want to be used significantly more, but there is an element of protecting your brand and protecting your company and having your product be fresh week to week, and he's been perfect example of that. I think everything he does is brilliant. I love him to bits.
Yeah, it was a heartwarming moment whenever he actually signed when he got that
Mm.
contract. I think that the AEW fans and people who actually like AEW wrestling when they saw it happening, it was one of those special moments to
Yeah,
see
no,
it happening.
it was the height of hypocrisy that Warner Bros. Media wouldn't allow himself and Jay Briscoe sign with AEW. Tony Khan went above and beyond. Tony Khan did two different
Mm-hmm.
tribute shows to Jay Briscoe, one on
Yeah,
Ring of Honor television, and then kept banging his head against the walls. No, this is the right thing to do. We need a tribute show for AEW, for Jay Briscoe and AEW television. Warner Brothers Media at the same time were promoting Dana White's slap fight, which was a week after he just slap the head off his wife.
Yeah.
They were also promoting a movie for The Flash, whereby the lead actor, his name escapes me currently, had
Yeah.
kidnapped a number of children. Ezra Miller, yes,
Ezra Miller, yeah.
yeah. So he kidnapped a number of children. But Jay Briscoe had made one slur because he's from a part of the world where they don't have knowledge, they don't have education, and he'd been incredibly contrite and apologetic and reformed in his views and gone above and beyond. And the likes of Ian Riccoboni, who's part of the LGBTQ plus community,
Yeah.
had testified to that character of the man
Yeah.
and to the lack of awareness and lack of knowledge, the impact his words had said. And it was something from over 10 years ago as well. Anyway, it's an absolute crime that Mark and Jay Briscoe were never on AEW TV together.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that at least Mark Briscoe can now carry their mantle on national television platform.
Yeah, absolutely delighted to see him there, and hope he keeps doing what he does, because I think he's a phenomenal talent. I believe everything he does. He's kind of that Eddie Kingston way of, you just believe everything he does. Moving on, March. I'm going to put these together because they are husband and wife. Taya Valkyrie and Johnny TV, as he's known, Johnny Dynamite, Johnny, whatever you call him on a weekly basis. He didn't officially sign until June, but we'll put them together because they recently just teamed up, backstage for Ring of Honor, so they seem to be pairing them up now. So how do you think they've been done? I know they haven't been on TV a lot with AEW, but they have been a lot of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Johnny, you can put him straight in the bin. There's no point in having him there. There's no value whatsoever. He doesn't seem overly interested in anything he does. He's been doing that stupid QTV piece of crap, and QT Marshall thought he was too big of a star and wanted to be on television on a week-to-week basis as one of the lead protagonists of AEW television. So as a result of that, you can get rid of Johnny TV as well. Taya Valkyrie has been a tremendous addition for the AEW women's roster for a number of up-and-coming wrestlers and helping them in their development as a tenured, experienced wrestler, and also somebody with a very good personality that beams off the screen, be it across all three of the AEW programming platforms or Ring of Honor. I think she fits in perfectly, fits like a glove, and helping the likes of Skye Blue, Trish Adora, Julia Hart, any of the kind of up and coming current generation of wrestlers for the female talent. She's significantly more helpful and beneficial to their development than anything Madison Rayne has done since she joined. So Taya Valkyrie gets a thumbs up, Johnny TV gets a thumbs down.
Okay, that's good enough for me. Someone who also signed in March, or re-signed in March, was Stu Grayson. Bit of a strange one. He wasn't gone very long, but they officially listed him as re-signed. He was all elite again in March.
Absolute nonsense. Needless. Absolute nonsense. He went to Ring of Honor, did a bit with the Righteous for a while, then suddenly the Righteous appeared in AEW TV, and he hasn't been seen since.
And the Righteous are officially all elite as well, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they've gone under the radar as well, which I've done my own roster.
They didn't get the graphic though, did they?
No, there's a lot of people that don't have the graphic either, which really annoys me.
Well, this list, if anybody's asking, this list is off people who got the graphic besides Johnny TV, because he didn't.
Wikipedia actually has an up-to-date list for the majority. But yes, Stu Grayson, absolutely need us. Get rid of him.
Yeah,
harsh, but
that's fine. I haven't seen him on TV since.
It's also telling that AEW were in Montreal last week, and he wasn't there, and he's one of the he wasn't there, and he's a native French speaker. So
strange one. Someone who did sign, he signed in April. I think one of the signings of the year, Jay White, officially became all elite.
He's just unreal. Like all the Fed pilled dopes, just like, no, he's going to debut at WrestleMania. Why would he debut at WrestleMania? He doesn't have that big a platform. Do you think New Japan Television gives him such a big, wide audience that is going to attract the cultural masses for those that understand what the Switchblade and breathing the Switchblade and being the catalyst of professional? Yeah, like who outside of the rare niche air of like independent and Japanese wrestling is going to know who Jay White was? I'm delighted he didn't go to WWE because William Regal apparently wanted him, and William Regal emotionally blackmailed Tony Khan, so I don't like him either. Jay White, I think, is the coolest thing, one of the coolest things in all of AEW. I was furious in how he's handled in his AEW Full Gear program with MJF. MJF needs a minder and told you can't do every whim and thing that comes into your brain. This is a detriment to one of the best wrestlers on the entire planet, Jay White. Jay White gets 10 out of 10 from me. MJF gets a kick in the balls.
Yeah, Jay White, I think, is going to be... I hope he's going to be AEW champion by the time we're talking about this next year, at least at one point. Someone who also signed, someone you're very familiar with, signed. He got a graphic. Nigel McGuinness. What do you think about him on the AEW?
I love him. He's all people who don't understand sarcasm and humor from our part of the world. Strongly dislike him. I love him.
I think he's brilliant. Yeah,
He takes the piss out of people. He takes the piss out of his commentators beside him. He has a laugh. He's thoroughly enjoying himself because he doesn't sound like a robot. Because he doesn't isn't it's constantly effusive in his praise for everybody in the ring. Because he's not trying to portray a character and he's just trying to be himself on commentary and enjoy himself.
Yeah, he's not pretending to be funny. He's not trying to do a
No,
Jerry Lawler where he's being
no,
sexist when he's being funny
yeah,
kind of thing. He's just
yeah. He's
ribbing
having a
people
laugh. He's
on
having a laugh.
TV.
Everything he
Yeah,
does, like I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's a breath of fresh air. Like given how big the UK market is as well for AEW in particular, and they're now making their annual trip to All In, and they're kind of constantly telling us about their incredible relationship with like Spy TV, having that British voice and that British appreciation of things in ring and British lens, or say British, but I'm going to put Irish in that same bracket as well, just purely because of cultural overlap. And not that I'm British, but I think Nigel McGuinness is absolutely outstanding. He's everything he's done, particularly on AEW Collision. It's just a different feel. It's a different tone. It's not a million words a million words an hour with Excalibur as it
Excalibur.
is on Dynamite. Not that I have an issue with Excalibur.
No,
It's a different approach. It's more thoughtful. There's an economy of his words. He's everything he says he means. He
yeah,
means what he says.
but he's familiar with a lot of the talent. Like when Punk was there, with Brian Danielson's there. Like
Yeah.
he knows him for so long. Like he knows what they say about them because he could say stuff to them that nobody else could say. Like because they've known each other for so long. So. And
Yeah,
he
and
really
he
hates Brian Danielson on Collision.
that damn clam digger Danielson. Yeah, he's brittle Brian. Nigel McGuinness got himself into ring shape, got him fully back training in ring full time in the lead up to All In, and in the
Yeah,
hope that Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson, Jesus, terrible, might be fit in time for All In. Unfortunately, he wasn't, and now he's been slowly just stirring the pot in the background. This won't go unnoticed, and I believe at some point prior to his full time retirement, not that Brian Danielson will ever retire from wrestling, which I don't think will ever happen, he will wrestle Nigel McGuinness under an AEW banner, be it at
hope
All
so.
In or somewhere else.
Let's hope so. Let's hope
Yeah.
so. Somebody else. Well, there's a few more people in April. Skye Blue. Recently she's been killing it. This new character change she's had. Like what thought looked like she was going to go heel, but she's still in between.
Don't really get it. She's got spooky eyeshadow, like got blown got blown some mist in her eyes, and now she's spooky. And then when she cuts a promo, she's still the same person. So I don't really get it. But she's obviously improved hugely in ring. There's a demographic that love to watch her on television. I don't need to say more about that.
Yeah.
But she's a part of a younger generation of female talent that Tony Khan is continuously pushing, and quite rightly so. He gets grief for not giving as much time on television to his female roster, but I actually think his female roster, by and large, is quite limited. I think he's had his hand forced for a number of years, which is why you had like Britt Baker on television every single week for the first 4 years. There was a lot of people you couldn't necessarily be trusted to carry ratings and carry viewership, just purely based on their level of training and exposure.
Yeah.
And that's no fault of them. And the fact that WWE scooped up pretty much every talented female wrestler in North America and beyond at one point. And that's why AEW are having to utilize and leverage highly trained, experienced wrestlers to come in every few weeks from Japan to Riho, Yuka Sakazaki, Emi Sakura, Hikaru Shida, who by and large I think are all living still in Japan still.
Yeah.
And then you've got wrestlers on the roster like Saraya who had a number of years off and are still very limited physically in what they can do in the ring based on prior injuries. So listen, Skye Blue, good member of the team.
Yeah.
Good to have her.
Billie Starkz also signed in April. I haven't seen much of her on TV recently, though.
Yeah, but Billie Starkz has been on every single week. She's been the lead program on Ring of Honor television. She's going to be main eventing Ring of Honor Final Battle in a few weeks. She's a prior minion in training under Athena, and if you've been watching Ring of Honor television this past year, you'd know, not you people generally, Gerry, that Athena has been the best female talent in the entire planet.
Yeah, absolutely. She's
absolutely
a year,
incredible.
actually a year as we record. She's a year as Ring of Honor champion.
She's
People are also giving out about that she's not on AEW TV enough.
Yeah, but I think she's the tent pole for Ring of Honor. They'll without her, what is it? Like the brand is hers now, which is it's a pretty cool thing to say for a female talent who's released by WWE, who's completely gone away and reinvented herself and proven she can have physical, hard hitting matches, and she's creating storylines off her own back in collaboration with Tony Khan around bringing up and coming talents such as Billie Starkz, who is one of the most highly sought after independent female talents in the world, is now going to main event a Ring of Honor pay per view at the end of December.
Yeah.
Billie Starkz, I think, will be incredibly awesome. And I'm expecting big
She's
things.
only 18, like, so she's plenty of time.
Yeah. But the fact that she's been trusted with going to be main eventing a pay per view,
Yeah.
that's a huge
Yeah,
kudos to her.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone else, two more people signed in April. Komander became all elite, and he's absolutely crazy. What do you think his chances are for next year?
Yeah, I thought himself and El Hijo del Vikingo, when they first came in, were both like, whoa, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And then they start getting put on television on a weekly basis, and it's kind of repetitious in terms of what they do without necessarily rhyme or reason, just kamikazing themselves around the place. I think given they have somewhat limited schedules based on their commitments elsewhere, I think there's the huge Latin American market that AEW have tapped into, that they have a head start on WWE for. That's why they scooped up Dragon Lee after he appeared on AEW television to try make it the best of that. He's good, yeah. Like Komander is very, very good. I don't think like he's never. Obviously, he's like 5'6" or something. Could do with a feed. Obviously incredibly talented, like and acrobatic. Like there's always going to be a place in the spot, a spot on the card rather for him, or a talent of his ilk. He's not quite of the level of Bandido or Ray Phoenix in terms of that skill set.
Yeah,
he doesn't draw out that level of emotion. But his Cirque du Soleil-esque abilities separate him, and that naturally will kind of give you a foot up the ladder. In terms of if he wants to progress within AEW, probably need to get rid of Alex Abrahantes because he does my head in. I don't see what he's there for. You go back to the shopping channel for all I care. But being part of a trio, Ray Phoenix and Penta maybe for the trios title down the line.
Yeah, well, for Ray Phoenix out injured, like they have been kind of
Yeah,
mashing them up, mashing all the Lucha boys together. So
yeah, is that cultural appropriation? Who knows? But anyway, yeah, he's obviously a cool talent to have, and he's there's a rhyme and a reason. Like, you're not gonna say, oh, you're not gonna bin him anyway. He's good.
Yeah. Last person to sign in April was Roderick Strong.
He's just the business. From a man who was incapable of speaking whatsoever on a national platform, incapable of speaking on camera and a microphone to an audience, suddenly he's just found himself. He left the sports entertainment genre of wrestling,
the Diamond Mine,
the Diamond Wine and everything before that, because he didn't enjoy the entertainment side, and yet suddenly he moves to AEW and it becomes one of the worst parts of the television program on a weekly basis because he's falling into every single cheap trope and cliche like the Adam. It's funny. Obviously we know he's gonna be one of the devils at World's End.
It has to be, right? Yeah.
Him, Wardlow, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett.
Do you think it's Wardlow?
No, the four of them. There's four lads just around the ring, and then it'll be Adam Cole or Britt Baker will be the devil. That's.
Oh really, Britt Baker?
Well, she hasn't been on TV for a while, and if Adam Cole can't walk, somebody else is going to be leading the charge. Kyle O'Reilly, he's not. I don't think he's not really the face of that type of thing. But Wardlow and them three boys,
well, not a bad faction.
Yeah, so Roderick Strong, yes, big thumbs up.
Yeah. In May, a tag team signed with AEW. Someone we're very familiar with, Aussie Open.
Yeah, unbelievable, brilliant. They haven't had their best of runs in terms of injuries. Mark Davis obviously broke his wrist against FTR in their match at Wrestle, which is unfortunate. Kind of took away from the match. I think they had an injury. I think was it Mark Davis had an injury when he arrived. He had a knee injury as well.
He came injured.
Yeah, so Kyle Fletcher's now been taken under Don Callis' wing as a young protege, given his age profile. Somebody's obviously got Kyle Fletcher recently on a what we'd call a cycle, because suddenly his body composition has changed dramatically. He's got some new gear. He's got Skye Blue as his girlfriend. Life seems to be good for Kyle Fletcher. He's living in Chicago now. Mark Davis is living in Florida. They haven't I kind of felt sorry for them at All In against MJF and Adam Cole, because they were given this like donkey spot where they had to
Yeah.
take kangaroo kicks, and kind of that was fine. Like, it's funny, but like that type of stuff's just constantly burying other tag teams. Like, they did the same thing to the Righteous MJF and Adam Cole at All Out, I think it was, on one of them. So yeah, I think they're obviously a fantastic signing. I think they see a huge amount of money in Kyle Fletcher. I just hope they kind of start refocusing their tag division properly.
Do you think whenever Mark Davis comes back, that will he join up with the Don Callis thing? Will Kyle Fletcher leave that Don Callis part? Will they go back to being Aussie Open?
They might do United Empire or something with Will Ospreay when he signs.
Yeah.
I'd say the three of them will probably do their own thing. But like, what is the Don Callis family? It was something to oppose Jericho and Kenny Omega. Then now they're not even interested in them, so they're just sitting on Rampage with Don Callis in the corner. So what's Konosuke Takeshita beats Kenny Omega, and now he's sitting on Rampage in a corner with Will Hobbs. Like, anyway, sorry, Kyle Fletcher's and Mark Davis are both amazing. I love them. They're the best wrestling match I've ever seen in my life was against them and FTR at Royal Quest 2 last year.
Okay. There were, like I said, Johnny TV signed in June. Until then, there was July 12th before they officially signed Nick Wayne, even though he had, he couldn't be made legal until then. It was February 22 when it was announced, but he didn't become All Elite until the 12th of July.
Yeah, fair play to him. Like, he's been class. He's been traveled the world all before he turned 18. His leaving cert must be shite. Like, he's obviously been born into wrestling. Grand. Like,
school, what's that?
Oh, it's school. Like, who needs an education? His mother is obviously these pushy parents who like push their kids into like pageants at like 4 years old.
She knows how to throw a title belt. I'll give her that.
Does she? Does she? Does she though? Like, it looked really weak, and poor Adam Copeland had to, just whoring themselves out in television for a bit of publicity. Them too. No, like Nick Wayne. Obviously, it was going to be a race. That's why AEW gave him like a contract 16 or a pre-contract 16 or something, because they knew it was going to be a race to get him signed up in time. Again, just sit him down in a kitchen for a couple of hours and just tell him to eat for a few hours every day. Grow. Lift heavy things, pick them up and put them down. Because you looked like you're about 12.
Yeah, I hope he goes training with Will Hobbs maybe, and
just doesn't matter. Just sit down, eat a big cake, and lift some heavy things.
Do you think he's going to be good in 2024? Is he still going to be with Christian?
He's still very, very good, and you can see they're kind of replicating what Christian did in TNA. So they had
Tom Cole and
AJ Styles, but he's the kind of AJ Styles roast. Somebody I read something on Twitter. It was fucking hilarious. It was replicating what they did in TNA, where they get a monster and a young twink.
That means something completely different than other words.
That's what I meant. But sorry. But no, that was it's obviously it's fantastic. Christian Cage is arguably the best character on all of wrestling television now. So yeah, it's been fit like a glove. He's done really, really well for himself, and he's gone from being this kind of super indie, flippy dippy guy to suddenly, at 18 years old, forcing himself to develop character wise, and he's been put with somebody very good on that front.
Yeah.
Hopefully does more with that spot than Jack Perry does, because Jack Perry did nothing.
Is he the devil? He's not the devil. No, he's not.
No, he's
September, they actually signed, the Righteous actually became we mentioned them already. So we're into October, the 2nd of October. We mentioned them already. Adam Copeland became All Elite. Was it a big surprise after his match with Sheamus and SmackDown? It looked like he was retiring.
I don't know. I kind of instantly think he's better. Like, it's something. It's just, I don't know. He looks freer or something out of that kind of. I don't know. It just looks. He looks more relaxed. He looks less restricted when he's in ring for AEW. There's a different lens. Even his promos don't have the same cliche verbiage, rehearsed scripting.
No, they're not PG-13.
Yeah, like he's. This is the first time in his life he's been outside of that environment, whereas Christian's had experience before. So this is all for a guy who retired. This is obviously pretty exciting. Obviously, still in half full arenas, but at the same time, like, if you're told you can do a really contrived program 3 times a year in WWE and say it's the greatest match of all time, like that kind of stuff, or you can do stuff with your best friend and be creative and work on a program weeks on end, and you can create your own promos, segments, match types. I think even the stuff in ring, he just looks more loose or something. He doesn't look as stiff and rigid to me, despite a man being probably, I think he's nearly 50 or something. But
the 49, yeah.
yeah, like he looks. I don't know. I've when he signed, I was like, yeah, this is a cool moment. But like week 2, do I really care? Like I didn't. But he's kind of grown on me week on week. And that's in part due to how good Christian's been.
Yeah.
It's a yin and yang. And obviously I think we're building towards All In next year, whereby they'll be the two of them will be together facing FTR.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they eventually team up. The fact that, like you mentioned, like he's feeling freer and looser about promos and stuff. The fact that his very first night on AEW television, Christian told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Which never would have been uttered anywhere, anytime on WWE. Like it probably just sparked him. He was like, "Oh, really? We can do that?"
Yeah,
not really. Like, but
how bad is the guy for AEW television, the production truck who like presses the the big
the
brother
B button?
Yeah.
Is there a delay?
Yeah. Like they obviously do it like a second or two after.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Beep.
Yeah, and then the same with Edge. He said go fuck yourself a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, good. Someone else who signed in October, Kota Ibushi. How do we feel about him?
He's completely washed. He looks bright. He's completely washed. He physically can't do a quarter of the stuff he used to. He looks.
What age is he?
I thought he probably like 40 nearly, but like it's not even that. But like he looks brain addled or something. He looks like he doesn't know where he is half the time. I don't know. He just looks. There's like a disconnect. He looks somebody who's like the lights are on, no one's home, kind of when you see him.
Has nothing to do with language barriers. Not really sure what's going on.
No, I don't know. It just like it doesn't look like the same human being Kota Ibushi from prior to injuries or before COVID then he had his kind of breakdown, whatever. Don't see any benefit. I don't know why you got that all in spot aside from being mates with the Kenny Omega and keeping him sweet. Which is worthwhile to keep Kenny Omega sweet because he's one of the best in the world. But yeah.
Is it more about the booking dream matches for the sake of dream matches, or
it's not a dream match you can fulfill because he's not that good in the ring anymore.
But
he's
just by his name,
like I mean, he kind of had that initial pop when he debuted at Blood and Guts in the summer, but then he appeared at Blood and Guts and you're like, oh, that was a bit shit. So yeah, and
he lost the match in All In as well.
Yeah, like he had funny like a Japanese match of the week where he came in suits and he cycled the bike down the ringway and hit people with the pole. That was funny. Like he's not the golden star Kota Ibushi from years gone by, and physically just like doesn't move fluidly. Just looks like he's in pain. Looks like he's brain damaged. I can say that with authority because I am a man with numerous concussions. But anyway.
Right. Well, you mentioned that. While you mention people who may be a bit past their prime, Ric Flair
in the bin
signed with AEW in November. What's going on here?
Detain that man, send him to jail for sexually assaulting women. He also then on Rampage the week before last saying if you're 18 to 28, you be in my hotel room.
It was cut.
It was
the
wisely.
Feed, so
yes,
thankfully.
Well, apparently Woo Energy must be paying them millions and millions and millions. He was supposed to be signed originally for AEW to be Andrade's manager, but then Dark Side of the Ring came out, and Tony Khan's like, "Well, no, we can't really have a sexual commander on television." But then Tony Khan went on a rant online about Vince McMahon and his proclivities and behaviors, and then a few weeks later signed Ric Flair. So it's a bit hypocritical and contradictory. Don't get it, don't want it.
What's the point? Why does it need to be there for Sting's final run? Like Sting never needed him for his time in AEW at all. So what's the point?
It's just
is it something Sting wanted?
I think it's a bit of like collecting toys type thing, and like having all your heroes together kind of thing, and it's a nice it's a nice if it's something that means a lot to Sting, it's a nice gesture, fair play. Yeah. But
is Woo Energy paying them a lot of money?
Must be, yeah. Apparently they're paying his full contract, but but they're plastered over the Dynamite Tron every week. And anyway, yeah.
Sponsorships.
Old people need to go. Yeah.
Someone who's not old, Dralistico also signed in November. Went under the radar. I think he actually eventually got the graphic, but
he's the worst of the. I don't even know the family brothers' names, but the three brothers, Roosh, Dragon Lee, and Dralistico, and he's by far the worst. He had. Do you know the myth and lore of the Mystico gimmick. The
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who used
yeah,
to play Sin Cara, so he
yeah.
briefly had the Mystico gimmick,
Right.
or Mystico, Caristico, Sin Cara, all these different, and Dralistico now as well. So that's why he's got the Sin Cara mask.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's the worst of the three. He doesn't really offer a lot on television. He's an LFI. Don't really need him. You don't really need Preston Vance. You don't really need Jose the Insistent. Don't know what he's assisting other than just puts his fist out. Dralistico. Yeah, again, I think they wanted the idea initially to do LFI with Andrade and Roosh. I think Andrade going back to CMLL scuppered that. I think he's had that in the work for a while. They don't know how long Andrade's going to be there for. Yeah, don't really see the point. I mean, I think it was originally going to be like an ROH guy, but he's just kind of Rush's hanger on now. It doesn't even get in television on AEW at
Yeah.
all, even in the background now. So it doesn't accompany him to the ring. Preston Vance does that. Don't really see the point of Preston Vance being there either. He's not Mexican. So anyway, Dralistico go.
Just to go. Mariah May.
Mariah May, yeah, yeah,
Mariah
yeah,
May
yeah,
also signed
yeah,
in November.
yeah. Fair play to her. English woman. Spent years in Stardom, up and coming talent, very, very green, but she's obviously bought in hugely to this Tony Storm, All About Eve movie character, playing her role very, very well. It's another way of developing somebody's character before putting them on television to try get a bit more spotlight because they don't have the depth
Yeah.
in the roster to just throw people on television and to wow you with their wrestling ability currently and based in the AEW women's division, in my view. It's something different. She's young as well, so it kind of falls into that demographic with Julia Hart and Skye Blue, as you touched on earlier. Yeah, cool.
Was it a play on the Mickey James Trish Stratus thing where she was kind of stalker?
That popped into my. I don't think she's just. Yeah, maybe not a stalker, but
Not
just,
yet. Like,
I think is that the All About Eve movies.
Yeah, I haven't really watched them.
I've never.
Something like.
Like I mean, you're older than me, Jerry, so you'd be better place
I
to
know the
tell me.
plot line, like, but I didn't
Okay,
actually watch it. No.
I think there's a bit of overlap there. Anyway,
Yeah.
between the Trish.
Hopefully it doesn't happen where she's dethroning Tony Storm anytime soon, like, because Tony Storm needs to be champion forever.
Yeah, I think they were teasing that Mariah May's going to have her in-ring debut or something soon, based on RJ City walking her into Tony Khan's office recently. But yeah.
Right, we're down to the last signing.
Oh no.
The biggest one. Will Ospreay officially became All Elite on the 18th of November. So as this recording, he is the last person to become All Elite in 2023, and probably the best technical wrestler on the planet. Do you think he's going to be a game changer for All Elite Wrestling?
I was kind of annoyed his signing got leaked because it became like, once you know it, you're like, oh, but then it happens. You're like, what if it's Brock? Or what if it's somebody you don't expect? Everybody, like Andrew Zarian. Fuck you, Andrew Zarian, for telling everybody. But yeah, like it was. He kind of his debut promo was fairly turgid because he got himself so wound up, obviously backstage, and like he kind of wasn't fully hearing the reaction of the fans.
Yeah.
He thought they were like vociferously booing that he wasn't going to be there. Just chill,
calm down, bro. Calm
down. Articulate. He didn't look like he was comfortable looking into the camera. I don't know, maybe it was jet lagged or something. But yeah, I think he's class. I think he's unreal. I don't know how feasible it is living in the UK while working for AEW. Like he's not going to be Pac where he kind of cycles in and out. If he's Will Ospreay, he's going to need to be there every week.
But the thing, will he be there every week though? Is he going to be like Pac? Is he going to be in the UK 6 months of the year?
You don't sign Will Ospreay to sit at home. And like if he's under contract with AEW, he's not going to be going to the electric ballroom to wrestle.
I know. Well, if you don't want him to go to WWE, sign him just to make sure you have them.
Well, you're paying him millions of dollars apparently per year. So yeah, I don't know, like what you have for him. If you have something, obviously they're building towards All In. He's going to be assuming the main event of All In, and it's going to be a plan towards this.
Yeah.
It's a bit of the Will is a bit of the John Moxley factor to me in terms of he is a star, but he's also like, why the fuck? I know he wants to. Why the fuck is he allowed to go to TNA next week or in a few weeks' time? Like that brings your star level down.
He's still under contract with New Japan until March, right?
Yeah, I know, and like he's doing the Rev Pro next weekend looks unbelievable. Where he's facing Gabe Kidd, it's really cool build, and that show looks probably the best European wrestling show in a long time. And like he wants to do an OTT Stadium show in January. Like if Joe books something imminently, because he'd need to.
Yeah,
That's cool for us, but it's not cool for his
it's not
optics.
happening in January because we've got the Rumble in January and we've got Scrapper in April. So
Yeah, like it's like if Joe, or it's not Joe, if like Will's star
Billy
power,
Boy.
his star power gets diluted the more places he appears.
Yeah.
Like
But he
you
did come out
point,
and say he still wants to be a part of United Empire in New Japan as well. Like, so unless they all come to AEW, like,
I don't know what he wants. I don't think he knows what he wants.
yeah,
I don't think he's sure. I think he's like, oh, sorry, listen, I think he's openly spoken about it as like ADHD.
yeah.
Like a lot of us do. I think he just needs to be a bit more clear in terms of what his motivations are, what his aims or goals are, and kind of channel his energy towards that. Because he also talks about like his body being wrecked, but he's also flogging himself everywhere. Like you can take time off. You don't have to wrestle every week. You don't have to transcontinental travel weekly. Like you don't have to go from Rev Pro this week, then we're going to Chicago or Vegas for TNA, then we're going
Mm.
to Japan. Do you know what I mean you can do one or the other. You can do the ones you're legally contractually obligated to do. Like not everything has to be done. And in those shows you appear on, he talks about his finishing move. I forget what he does. That scoops him up and twists him around.
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he half dislocates his shoulder every time he does that. But he does it
Mm.
every show. So like what's that doing for your shoulder long-term health? Like your labrum, your rotator cuff, and all these things. You can do your back elbow. You can do things that are low impact on your body. I know he's an ultimate showman and wants to give everybody the most for their money and bang for their buck. But like, you don't have to. People just want to see you half the time. Do you know what I mean? Like when you go to these shows, you don't have to do the full bag of tricks because then when you go on television, it's not worth the same.
Yeah.
Um,
He
yeah.
hasn't
Sorry.
evolved that side
Obviously,
of him. That he hasn't been evolved because he hasn't been on TV. You know, he hasn't worked
yeah,
TV shows, so he hasn't been able
yeah,
to get that advice from people to slow down and
yeah.
let the moment pass. I kind of think it's been in
Mm.
these shows, so he hasn't got a chance to stare at a hard camera and just stand there for fucking 5 minutes and just let people boo him or cheer him.
Yeah, like I mean, like much like Jay White, like thank fuck he's not in WWE. Like what would Will Ospreay do in WWE? Genuinely, like what would he do? He would sit in a backstage segment with Lexus fucking King, like, or do you know what I mean? And Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams would talk nonsensically about some other shite in NXT. Braun Breaker would he would do a spear and still be the same wrestler he's been for the past 3 years and hasn't progressed whatsoever. You can go on to SmackDown and you can cut promos where you're just regurgitating cliched shite and force contrived verbiage or raw and saying I'm home, wink wink, just because you're getting paid money. But like I don't think he's the type of guy who'll be capable of rehearsing lines and delivering them meaningfully. I don't think he's the type of guy yet who'd be able to dilute his in-ring style to the point of um a very malleable, passive WWE style television match for 5-10 minutes. Like he might end up like AJ Styles, where he's almost near totally unwatchable, which is my opinion. I think AJ Styles is boring as shit now. Has been for a few years. Or Shinsuke Nakamura. So thank God himself and Jay White are in AEW, and God only knows what they can conjure up in 2024 if they're allowed to.
Right, let's hope they conjure up a lot because
Yes.
there's a lot of feuds, there's a lot of matches that have never happened that we are hoping to get to see in 2024 with everybody who signed and who else is going to sign in 2024.
Has to happen, Gerry, eh? Has to happen.
Has to happen. Massive couple of months ahead. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to 2024 in AEW. As long as we can pronounce everybody's names properly, we're okay.
Excellent.
Mark, been a pleasure having you on this year. We're going to have a lot more AEW shows. We've been talking in the background. It's something we're looking to do even more of in 2024. I know we're our Irish wrestling podcast. We are still going to cover Irish wrestling, but we're also allowed to talk about other wrestling as well. There's going to be so much AEW shows, all their new pay-per-views that are going to be, going out for the first time in 2024. And obviously the way 2023 ends, which is in a couple of days if you're watching this going out live. MJF and Samoa Joe and the rumors of MJF's contract and who the devil is, and exciting times for that side of AEW. So it's nice to have something to build towards. God knows what 2024 is going to look like with Samoa Joe as the champion.
Could well be, yeah, could well be given the amount of injuries that MJF has. And just as it's the last show that's going to be going in 2024, Gerry, thank you hugely for all your work you've done this year, the constant content you're putting out, the amount of shit that I'll throw your way in terms of we've got an interview, you can get this up the next few days and you'll put something together with a graphic and everything's beautifully together and succinct. There's a reason why yourself and Liz have curated not just one, a couple of channels whereby you're the most successful in the genre in Irish wrestling in particular. You're the most watched, you're the hardest working and the most put out because you're decent people above all else. You don't treat people poorly, and you're also incredibly informed and thoughtful in your actions and in your words towards people and in what you put out in your content wise. So Gerry and to Liz, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for your words, and we look forward to again in 2024. And as always, everybody like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any words or anything you want to say about any of the signings for AEW 2023, leave them below and let us know what your plans are for 2024 with AEW as well. So thanks as always, guys, for watching. We'll see you next year. Happy New Year.